Hello, I'm Michelle with Books Cause Insomnia, and I'm here today to do two book tags. And I'm going to do two book tags because AJ Dunn tagged me in two book tags and in the same video, and I thought, why not do the same thing? Why not just do the two tags in one video? They're both pretty short, so it does make sense to put them together. The first one is called The Evolution of a Reader Tag, and this was created by Jack at Spread Book Joy. Number one, what you read. How has your taste in books evolved? Well, I guess it's really evolved a lot. I started out reading Ramona Cleary books, and then I was reading a lot of Sweet Valley High books and R.L. Stine and Christopher Pike. And then I moved into a time where I was reading John Saul and Dean Koontz and Stephen King. And then I went through a John Grisham time and David Baldacci, James Patterson. I just kind of kept... Oh, and I went through a really big V.C. Andrews phase in high school. And then for a while I was reading books that Oprah had selected for her book club. Then I started trying to read books that were indie books. And I did a lot of shopping at secondhand bookstores and clearance racks at regular bookstores, because that seemed to be where all the indie books were, or the books that had been translated into English or that kind of stuff. Hi, Olive. If you hear her walking around, that's what you're hearing. I stopped reading when I was in college, except for stuff that I had been assigned. Let's see, I went through a phase for about 3 years where all I read was Karen White books and cozy mysteries. What are you doing? Thank you for the kiss. Oh, hello. Hi. Hi. You gonna say hi to everybody? One thing about having a bully dog is that you get a lot of love. Yes, I do, huh? Lots of love and cuddling and playing. Okay. Now I read so many different genres, and I'm not really in a certain genre that I'm mostly reading like I used to be. So that's really changed. And I'm also revisiting books I haven't read in 20, 30, 40 years. Number two, how you read. Has the format of your reading changed much? Well, I've always been a physical book reader. I don't like reading on screens. I just don't. I've thought recently about maybe getting an e-reader and trying it, but I don't know. I'm just really... If you have an opinion on that, or if you have a recommendation of an e-reader that's not too expensive, let me know down in the comment section. Maybe I'll give it a try. Maybe I'll put it on my Christmas list or something. I'm not sure. But about a year and a half ago, I decided to give an audiobook a chance. And I had never really done that. I had had a book on CD that I just could not finish because I didn't like listening, and I had to keep rewinding, and I could not pay attention. But I thought, well, this is a book that I really want, but at the time I didn't really have extra money to get another book, and I thought, well, I'm just going to listen to it. I'm going to try to listen to it. And I did, and it worked, and I've been in love with listening to books ever since. But it's only been about a year and a half. Number three, how much do you read? Do you read more or less than previously? Okay. When do you read? Has how often you read changed? Okay. Do you read more or less than previously? I would say I'm very cyclical with it. How often I read kind of goes like this. So, as I mentioned, I guess really just when I was in college, I did not read much. But other than that, I've always been somebody who reads every day, usually. Every once in a while, I'll take a couple days off, but that's pretty rare. When do I read? I read all day long. I start reading in the morning and I don't stop till I'm in bed at night. I like to read. If it's really slow at work, I'll even read when I'm at work. I like to read when I'm in a waiting room at the doctor's office, that kind of thing. And if I'm watching one of my hockey games, or if I'm watching something on TV, I'll read during the commercials. I love cramming any pages in where I can. And then I also like to listen to audiobooks while I'm cooking or cleaning, driving. Has how often you read changed? I think it's changed a little bit from high school, or, well, especially college, since I didn't read in college. But in high school, I was in school 8 hours a day, and I was a dancer. So I was in dance classes or rehearsals quite a bit. So I didn't really have time to read during the week. I only read on the weekends, but I'd usually read 2 or 3 Sweet Valley High or R.L. Stine books a weekend. Or if I was reading one of the longer books that I mentioned that I read in high school, I'd read maybe one in a weekend. Number 4, how has Booktube changed you as a reader? It's changed me in the sense that I read more types of books. I'm not letting myself get into I guess you would call it like a season of reading, where I'm only reading cozy mystery books for 6 months or a year, or I'm only reading books by this author for 6 months or a year. I'm not letting myself do that because I don't want to bore people. And it's working out pretty well. Sometimes it gets a little overwhelming trying to read so many different kinds of books, but I think I'm in a good flow now. I have a lot of book friends now. I'm in 2 book, reading clubs. I do readathons. I do tag videos, and I have friends on Booktube that are other booktubers, or even viewers that I feel like are my friends. And I'm in a couple Discord groups. It's a totally different reading world than it used to be, because it used to be that me and a few people in my life were the only ones I knew that read books, and usually I would be alone on what I read. So I wouldn't really have anyone to talk to about the books that I read like I do now. Number 5, tag some people. Okay, I tag Art at Bookshelf Odyssey and Emily L. Terry. And Emily, I'm not sure if you're still doing book tags, so if you don't, just ignore this, but if you are, I'd love to hear your answers. And then the next tag is the Finish the Book tag, which was created by Headless Books, and that is a channel that is sadly no longer active. Number 1, do you keep a list of books that you have read? I do. I've got a book journal and a Goodreads page. If you're interested in looking at my Goodreads, I think there's a link down in the description box if you want to see my book journal and the different lists I keep of what I read and everything. I'll put a link up here to a video I did that was what I read in January. I think I just did it last month. Towards the end of that video, I show my book journal and my book lists and such. So if you're interested in that, be sure to check that out. Number 3, do you give star ratings? I do. If so, what do you score books out of, and how do you come about this score? I never give books a 1-star rating. To me, a 1-star, I guess, would be a DNF. It's just so bad I don't even finish it. A 2-star is a book that I was able to finish reading but would not recommend to people. A 3-star is a book that was hot and cold for me. There's things I liked and there's things I didn't like. I do recommend it, but maybe just to people that like blank kind of thing. A 4-star read to me is a really good book. Usually they're books that I love, and I definitely recommend to other people. And then a 5-star book is a book where there's nothing I want to change about the book. If there are flaws, there are flaws that I felt needed to be there or that I enjoyed. There's usually some moments that really stood out to me and meant something to me. 5-star reads usually have characters that have personal growth in them, and they usually have flawed characters. I don't like perfect characters. 5-star reads usually have at least one, if not more, passages that I have underlined and written down somewhere because they meant so much to me. And a 5-star read is usually a book that I'm planning on rereading, and also a book that just makes my heart sing. There's just a certain feeling that a 5-star read has for me, where it's like, oh, you have to read this. It's so good. Whereas a 4-star, it was really good. I think that you would enjoy it. Here's why. But a 5-star, it's like, I just light up inside thinking about them. Number 4, do you review books? I do occasionally, although I'm not an official reviewer or anything. I guess maybe I am. I mean, do you consider being sent free books in exchange for a review And of course, on my channel, I'm constantly saying what I think of books, which I think is a bit of a review. I guess it depends on how you define a review. Number 5, where do you put your finished books? Well, usually here. Sometimes they'll end up, I've got a TBR set of shelves over here, and those are books I haven't read or books I'm hoping to reread in the next year. And then the books I've read that I've enjoyed and want to keep are over here. I do have some books still in storage, so I'm not sure where I'm going to put those when I get my storage unit emptied out soon. And then I've got a few books that I want to display but need to figure out a way to display. Like I've got the entire Sue Grafton series, and I want to keep it and reread it multiple times throughout my life, but I need to have somewhere to put that all together. So that's something that I need to figure out. I think I need to stop keeping so many books. I kind of have it in my head that at some point I won't be able to get books anymore. I probably read too many dystopian books, or maybe I've just had too many times in my life when I couldn't afford books, so I want a bunch of books to read, so I have my own library. But maybe I should let some of them go. I don't know. What would I let go, though? I love them all so much. That's why I keep them. Boy, I ramble, don't I? Number 6, how do you pick your next book? Well, usually I just walk over to my TBR shelf and I look around until something jumps out at me. I've got a little list of prompts that kind of help me pick. So it'll say maybe book of the month or a reread or a historical fiction or a classic or something like that. And I'll go, oh yeah, I want to read a classic. And then I'll go and start looking at my books and, oh, that classic is what I want to read now. Sometimes it's a book that somebody has said, Michelle, I really think that you'll like this book. And then I know that I have a copy, so I want to go read it. Or if it's a buddy read, obviously that I don't pick at the current time. And then the other way that I pick books is I've got, if I'm doing a readathon. Number 7, do you have any other rituals for when you have finished a book? No, I usually just write down my rating in my notes that are in the book, and then I write in my book journal within a few days. Obviously, I talk to you guys on my vlogs about what I think right away when I finished a book, and that's it. I usually wait a few days to do Goodreads. I don't always do a review on there. It depends on whether or not I feel like it, or if a book has a lot of reviews, like The Color Purple. I didn't explain why I loved it. I figured it was pretty obvious why I loved it at that point. There's so many reviews. But I don't have like a ritual where like I jump up and down 6 times and pat myself on the head 3 times or anything like that. I don't have any rituals per se, but I just finished the book, I guess. Number 8, who do you tag? I tag novel idea and tome raider. And that's all my answers. Sorry I am so long-winded. I can't help it. I just love to talk. If you have not done this video and you want to do it, please do it. And be sure to tag me so that I can watch it, because I want to see what your answers are. And if you don't have a Booktube channel, but you want to tell me what your answers are to any of these, please feel free to do that down in the comment section. I love hearing other people's bookish feelings. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day or night. Happy reading. Bye.